tonight. Scott Moe and Danielle Smith call for an end to federal interference in provincial resources.
So that all projects can move forward in Saskatchewan.
Saskatchewan cattle producers say they're reeling from drought conditions. And we take you to a tutoring program that's helping more Indigenous students graduate.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Wednesday, June 18th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams. Thank you for joining us. The premiers of Saskatchewan and Alberta are making it clear they want Mark Carney's government to keep its hands off of provincial resources. And this time, Scott Moe and Danielle Smith made their pitch by literally coming together. Jeremy Warren has our top story.
They met in the middle, the premiers of Saskatchewan and Alberta holding joint caucus meetings in Lloyminster, the border town belonging to both provinces. Their top priority, pressure on Ottawa to end all federal interference in resource development.
The national self-sabotage that has happened over the last 10 years has to end.
This is an opportunity that I would say is unlike any opportunity that I've seen in my lifetime for each of us as Canadians, and I'm very hopeful and excited on where this conversation will go in the next number of months.
Premier Smith implored other provinces to join their so-called coalition of the willing. Their demands are outlined in a joint statement released after Wednesday's meeting. They include the overhaul or outright repeal of the Impact Assessment Act, ditching proposed oil and gas emission caps and clean electricity regulations. The premiers say these changes are the only way Canada can take its place as an energy superpower.
Policies certainly do matter, and the policies are much larger than any single pipeline that might have to be built.
The provinces are also demanding additional oil and gas pipeline access to tidewater on the west coast and port-to-port access. And not just for oil, the provinces see export potential in critical minerals, agriculture, and forestry products.
A port-to-port corridor in Western Canada connecting one of those northwestern Pacific ports to the Hudson Bay would provide the opportunity for us to have access to Asian and European markets for years into the future, for generations into the future.
The premiers called it a great day and a great meeting. They're optimistic about Prime Minister Mark Carney's nation-building plans. They just want to have more of a say in how those plans look. Jeremy Warren, CBC News, Lloyminster.
Nearly half of Saskatchewan's air tanker fleet was grounded this wildfire season, including the province's newest water bomber. We first brought you this story earlier this week when it was raised by the opposition NDP, but now the government is defending itself, saying it's a normal part of operating any air fleet. But critics and experts call it unacceptable. Ashwarya Duda reports.
The Saskatchewan government isn't denying that some of its firefighting aircraft sat idle. As wildfire forced mass evacuations and burned through communities, 4 of its 10 water bombers were grounded, some since last summer. A brand new water bomber didn't fly at all.
There is no way of fast-tracking safety when we're talking about airplanes. There is a requirement to ensure that the work is done.
The government says the planes were out of service due to mandatory inspections, firefighting fatigue, and lack of available parts, including a failed propeller. And as for the new water bomber,
we were not going to be pulling pilots off of critical missions that were out. They were assigned to other planes.
He says it was no secret that these planes were down, but an aviation expert says it shouldn't have come to this.
Unheard of. It really is. You can't fight fires with disabled aircraft. And as far as I'm concerned, the extent to which those aircraft are available really is a measure of how well Saskatchewan is fighting fires.
Graddick says the planes should have been upgraded or replaced over winter. He says British Columbia gets around that by outsourcing planes from a third party. The NDP says the province failed the public and thousands of evacuees.
I can only imagine how incredibly frustrating that is to some of the folks we talked to yesterday, some of the folks who lost their homes. Time and time again, this is a government that simply fails to plan.
On Wednesday, the SPSA said a group of people tried to trespass its air operations base in La Ronge. The NDP says the government was falsely accusing them of trespassing.
If that's the response, I'm going to assume from the government, I'd say they have their priorities really out of order.
The SPSA later clarified that the alleged incident had nothing to do with the NDP. And as for the planes, it's unknown when they'll be back up again. But the SPSA says that some of them will be down for the rest of the fire season. Aishwarya Duda, CBC News, Saskatoon.
The third annual Indigenous Artisan Market was held at the Regina International Airport Wednesday. The event featured performances from the Neo-Yutina Dancers and Buffalo Boys Drum Circle. There were vendors selling arts and crafts and food. Bannock cookies and orange shirt pins were among the items being sold, with the money going to the Neo-Yutina Friendship Center in Regina. Those involved in the event say it's all about sharing Indigenous culture with the world.
It's so important because we want to know that we're not just here. We're here to share. We're here to give a little bit of knowledge. We're here to make people happy.
It feels good. It's part of like the reconciliation process, and I'm glad that the airport is teaming up with the Neo-Yutina Friendship Center and making this possible.
The market is in honor of National Indigenous Peoples Day, which is on Saturday. And in the lead up to that day, we're bringing you some inspiring stories that celebrate Indigenous people and culture. Our Anna May Zeviar recently visited one unique tutoring program that's helping more Indigenous students graduate and thrive beyond high school.
One of the reasons that we came in here was for this gym.
Darlene Lansley shows us around the White Buffalo Youth Lodge in Saskatoon. It's where students enrolled in the Pathways to Education program come for after-school tutoring and much more.
So in the summertime, for example, we'll take them to powwows, we take them to the round dance, to the horse dance. We take them medicine picking so they actually learn how to pick the sage, how to do things with the sage and the sweetgrass.
They're doing it.
The program works with the Saskatoon Tribal Council, which offers all kinds of supports for students and their families. On weekdays after school, kids receive one-on-one tutoring. They're also fed supper, given a bus pass, and free school supplies. They come here to do things like homework, work out, or participate in cultural ceremonies. Rylan Iron is about to graduate from Holy Cross High School. He signed up for Pathways in grade 9, enticed by the free food. But the feeling of home keeps him coming back.
As much as education is really important, you also must not forget that cultural sense of being Indigenous. You really need to have I think even with the medicine wheel, they say you have to find balance, right? So in order to keep that balance, you must maintain like a good mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional level.
Winona McLean is about to graduate from the program along with about 60 other students. She's the group's valedictorian.
Definitely made a huge difference because without them, I don't think I'd even be graduating this year because I really struggled in math and science.
They supply
Lansley is retiring soon. She says she's proud of the work she's done as a longtime educator.
Because I tell them that they're smart. I tell them that they're courageous. I tell them that they're resilient. I tell them things that a lot of people don't say to Indigenous youth. And I tell them that you can do the math. We're going to help you.
She says the program is helping more Indigenous students graduate from high school on time and helping them build their confidence to pursue their dreams. Iron is heading to the U of S for Indigenous Studies this fall and wants to get a law degree. McLean is already the provincial champion in archery and hopes one day to make it to the Olympics. Anna May Zeviar, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Cadmus Delorme says he's honored to be named the incoming Chancellor of the University of Regina. Delorme begins his 3-year term on July 1st. He says being Chancellor comes with big responsibilities and opportunities.
We have a chance to discuss how our world is changing, how academia must pivot. International is normal, students, we got AI, we got reconciliation, Has our departments and programs pivoted in that crucial time today to make sure education is relevant for the next 50 years? Those are the discussions that a Senate has, and that's what I look forward to chairing.
DeLorme had been the chair of the university's Senate. He received both his undergraduate and master's degrees from the U of R. He replaces Pam Klein, who served as chancellor since 2019. Well, a celebration of cultures in Victoria Park in downtown Regina Wednesday. It's in honor of World Refugee Day, which is on Friday. The event was put on by the Regina Open Door Society and honors the strength, courage, and contributions of refugees in Regina and celebrates the diversity of the city and the cultures that call it home. Stay with us. We have more news, and Helena Mahalik has her forecast after the break. Welcome back. Cattle and agricultural producers in parts of our province are sounding the alarm. They are already facing intense drought conditions. They say rain is only part of the solution and that changes to insurance would help them more in the long run. Scott Larson reports.
It's been abnormally dry in parts of Saskatchewan for years. And now, some areas in southwest Saskatchewan are seeing the worst drought conditions in almost a decade. And it's pushing crops and livestock to the brink. Close to the Alberta border, the RM of Big Stick has declared a local state of emergency, and more municipalities in the area may follow as producers face worsening arid conditions. Big Stick Reeve Quinton Jackstite says this is the 9th consecutive year of drought and the crops are desperate for rain.
Our earliest seeding was our barley crop. That crop is starting to die now in the fields. The plants are yellowing off, and some of the later crops might have a little bit more time, but we need inches of rain, not millimeters.
The lack of moisture is also affecting cattle producers. A shortage of hay and pasture can force ranchers to buy feed and even sell off some of their herd. Garner Diebold is a rancher from Shamrock, around 75 kilometers southwest of Moose Jaw, and the past president of the Saskatchewan Stock Growers Association. Diebold says widespread crop failures and poor water quality are alarming.
At this point in time, I mean, it gets down to the point of survival, and especially on the cattle side of it, numbers have been declining, and that is something I think that we will continue to see, even at, if things were to turn around right now. We definitely will see the contraction of the cow herd right now in the province.
Both Diebold and Jackstite say they need better financial assistance from governments to weather the drought. Jackstite says current crop insurance programs are insufficient to cover their losses.
Even if we get rain now, we're not going to have any kind of substantial yields because a lot of the damage has already been done to our crops.
Jackstite chairs a group of 6 RMs in the southwest area that includes Maple Creek and Fox Valley, and he says more municipalities are looking into declaring emergencies. Scott Larson, CBC News, Saskatoon.
And weather specialist Helena Mahalik joining us now. And I know you, Helena, more than anyone else knows just how dry things have been.
Yeah, Ethan, things have been pretty dry, although we did have a good start to the spring in terms of moisture. Let's take a look at what was happening around April. So in April, we did see an adequate amount of moisture towards the end of the month. There was no drought. We were just coming out of winter, so there was still a good amount of snowpack, which brought us a lot of moisture. Things were looking a little dry towards the north. But then as we got into May, things really changed. Temperatures were extremely hot for that time of year. We saw around 2 weeks of 30-degree weather and no rain. Things were very dry, which produced a lot of forest fires in northern Saskatchewan. So at the end of May, we were seeing extreme drought, which only happens 1 in every 20 years. It was especially bad for the Tisdale and Nipawin area. So it just goes to show how quickly drought can actually develop. As for our rainfall, into the middle of June, we are seeing a good amount of rain, so hopefully aiding with that drought. Wednesday evening, we do see a chance of severe thunderstorm watch in effect, especially for the southeast area. areas around Yorkton and Moosomin. This storm could produce hail as well as large wind gusts close to 100 kilometers an hour. We're going to see the rainfall continuing throughout the week and even into the weekend. Thursday morning, we're going to see a 60% chance of showers in central Saskatchewan for areas around Saskatoon, but by the afternoon, much of the province is going to be experiencing some showers. This will continue into Friday. We're going to see some rain coming into the southwestern part of the province, areas around Swift Current, and that's going to continue into Saturday, where a huge rain system is coming in, especially again for the southwest areas around Swift Current. So that area is going to get a lot of rainfall. So just how much accumulation are we going to get into the weekend? Around 25 millimeters and around the 20 millimeter mark for areas in the southwest, getting most of that rain in just one day on Saturday. Areas around Saskatoon just above 5 millimeters. Regina area and Moose Jaw though getting around 20 millimeters. So a good amount of moisture there. And we will see winds getting a little strong with these storms. Thursday, around 50 kilometers an hour wind gusts throughout much of southern Saskatchewan, where those storms are going to be at the strongest. And then into Friday, we're going to see around 30 kilometers an hour wind gusts as we see that rainfall continue, Ethan. So maybe no drought in store for June.
Yeah, very interesting seeing the comparison between the 2 months. And like you say, it'll be very interesting to see where that map is at the end of this month.
I'll be keeping an eye out and I'll keep you posted.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Helena.
Thanks, Ethan.
Well, a joint Canadian-British investigation is now complete into a cyber hack at the DNA testing company 23andMe. Officials from both countries say the company failed to protect its customers' data. And as Jamie Strachan reports, Canada's privacy watchdog is now demanding better safeguards.
Unbelievable. One is wanted a big sister. You, Angel?
23andMe promised people a chance to discover their roots, more about who they are through DNA testing. Kirsty Miller was one of them.
There was a pretty big piece of mine on my father's side that was missing.
For millions of customers, including more than 300,000 in Canada, it came with an added cost. Their personal information was compromised in a data breach in 2023.
The compromised data included highly sensitive information related to health, race, and ethnicity information.
Now, a joint investigation by Canada and the UK has found the company failed to take basic steps to protect that information and ignored warning signs before the hack.
The stolen data was later offered for sale online, putting the personal information of affected individuals at further risk.
While the UK has fined the company $4 million for failing to protect customers' data, Canadian officials don't have that power.
Unfortunately, Canadian privacy law does not yet provide this to me. I will continue to use all the tools that I have, but I need more and better ones.
Miller says she doesn't know if her information was part of the breach, but will be deleting her account anyways.
That isn't just DNA. It's not just a spit in a tube. It's like who I am as a person and my livelihood and my roots.
23andMe has since declared bankruptcy after settling a $30 million U.S. class action suit. It is now attempting to reorganize as a nonprofit headed by the company's old CEO with a promise to do better. But given what's happened, this privacy expert warns those thinking of signing up.
The simple word here is don't. It's simply too much of a risk for fairly limited return.
He says every time you sign up for a new service or app, ask what data is being collected and what protections are in place. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
The rain's going to continue. And now they're knocking on Dynasty's doorstep. The Florida Panthers back-to-back Stanley Cup champions.
Well, the Stanley Cup is staying in South Florida. The Panthers are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, beating the Edmonton Oilers 5-1 in Game 6 to take the series. The look on the Oilers players really says it all. So much expectation turned to sheer disappointment. The Panthers' Sam Bennett was awarded the Conn Smythe as the playoffs MVP, and then the team lifted the big prize. While Florida is talking dynasty, Edmonton fans are dealing with what feels like another missed opportunity. Stay with us. We'll have more news and a final look at the forecast after the break. Welcome back. The Saskatchewan Roughriders held their final practice of the week Wednesday as they prepare to face the Argos in Toronto. The Riders will make it back-to-back road games when they take on the defending Grey Cup champs, who, by the way, have started the season 0-2. Toronto will be without starting quarterback Chad Kelly once again. It will be a very familiar ground for Riders running back Kadeem Carey, who the Argos released after training camp. Carey says he can't wait for the opportunity to play his former squad.
I mean, excited, you know, like you said, not too long. I mean, it's just around the corner, just getting ready, getting the details ready to go out there and, you know, perform. It's a lot of motivation going there. So, I mean, I'm with the right team. They're going to go out there. Coach will put me in the right position to make plays, and everybody else is just going to have fun.
Receiver Sam Emelis did not practice for a second straight day and has been ruled out for the game. Joe Robustelli will replace him on the roster. Kickoff is at 5:30 Friday afternoon. And Helena, I think the Riders may encounter a few storms on their way down east.
They definitely will. Let's take a look at temperatures for the city of Regina. Thursday, temperatures are going to be jumping up closer to 30 degrees, although we will be seeing that breeze, but temperatures dropping down throughout the rest of the week. And Saturday, there's a definite chance of rain into the weekend, about an 80% chance, bringing temperatures down Sunday by almost 10 degrees below seasonal. And we're going to continue seeing that rain and lower temperatures in the teens well into the work week. By Wednesday, that rain is stopping and temperatures are going to be coming back into the 20-degree range. Overnight lows will be a little bit cooler because of this as well. It's a rainy week in Saskatoon too. Thunderstorms forecasted for Thursday and temperatures a little below seasonal, which continues into the weekend with that chance of rain. Saturday, we are seeing a 50% chance, which is the day of the Pride Parade, but that never stopped anyone. We're going to see that rain continue into the work week, and temperatures still going to be in the mid-teens, and we'll see them jumping back up for the rest of the work week, Ethan. So maybe a week to be staying inside.
Yeah, 80% chance. When's the last time we've been able to say that for Saskatoon?
It's usually only 30.
Yeah, sure has been. Okay, Helena, thanks so much.
Thanks, Ethan.
And that is it for us. For more news anytime, you can always head to our website or subscribe to our YouTube channel or download the CBC News app on your smartphone or tablet. Thanks so much for watching.